Hey guys, welcome to Neat Movie News. My name is Dean Thomas.
His name is Dean. We like Dean.
Just rewatched The Iron Giant for the first time in a long time, guys. Remember that clip? It's not often my name gets mentioned, so I'm probably gonna just start using that in my videos just because I think it's kind of fun. But let's get to the task at hand. So I hope your seat backs and folding trays are in their upright and locked position because it is time for the review of Sully, the Clint Eastwood directed movie starring Tom Hanks based on the emergency water landing of U.S. Airways Flight 1549, otherwise known as the Miracle on the Hudson.
It's 1549 if we can get it for you. Do you want to try to land runway 13?
We are unable. We may end up in the Hudson. This was not a crash. This was dual engine loss at a lower altitude than any jet in history, with 155 souls on board.
This movie, guys, is absolutely fantastic. Really was not sure what to expect of this because you hear a movie about the Miracle on the Hudson, you go, okay, well that movie or those events took place about in under 4 minutes. How you can make a full-length movie out of that? And then you hear they're actually going to dive into the investigation of it all. Was Captain Sullenberger, Sully, was he in the right? Was he in the wrong? Did he make a mistake while in the air? Did he make a bad judgment call? You're like, okay, that's interesting. You can make a movie about that.
Our job is to investigate how a plane ended up in the Hudson River.
On the Hudson.
It's not a crash. It was a forced water landing.
Simulation showed that you could make it back to the airport.
Not possible. I felt it go.
But then my also concern came to be, well, if we're just going to be doing investigation stuff and sitting in rooms talking, could this movie actually end up being kind of boring? And it was not even in the slightest. And I think a lot of that goes towards Clint Eastwood's directing and Tom Hanks' performance. So let's start off with Clint Eastwood's directing, because the way he tells this movie is such a human story, and it's because of the way he actually directs it and because it's not a linear movie. You flash back from being on the plane to what's going on in the investigation, then going on from the investigation back to the plane, and you actually do that quite a bit, but it actually all works really well. It's never jarring. You're never like, oh, back to this. It doesn't get repetitive because you're flashing back to somewhat of the same event on the plane, told from a different perspective or somebody else's point of view on it. And that's what I think really works out this movie, and one of the reasons why it feels so much like a human story, because Eastwood will go from Sully's point of view, then he'll go to some passengers' point of view, and you'll actually get to know the passengers a little bit and why they're on the plane or where they're going or the relationship that they have with some of these people. And that's what makes it that much more compelling, because also you realize 155 people on board and all 155 people survived. But it goes beyond those 155 people because it goes to every single one of their family members, their moms, their dads, their brothers, their sisters, their son, their daughter. And you realize how many people are affected and how many people Sully really did save in his actions of landing the plane in the Hudson. And I think that's what Eastwood did really well with his directing of how to tell this story, because you also get to know the policemen and the rescue workers who just went straight into action, the people in the flight tower who all made this possible, because while Sully's actions were incredibly heroic and just an incredible feat, you have to remember all the other people that went into making this rescue happen and why every single passenger on that plane survived. Which also brings me then to the performance of Tom Hanks. He is the perfect choice for this movie to play Sully because you believe every second of him. He's just this quiet guy, this subtle guy who's not really a fan of all this attention. He kind of doubts himself because he's not just this big ego-filled guy who thinks he's always right. He's questioning, did I do the right thing? And then you realize he goes, you know what? I've been here for 40 years. I did do the right thing. And then just kind of trying to prove that to both himself and the investigators that he made the only choice that was possible and the only one that was actually going to pay off. So Tom Hanks' performance in this is such a great Tom Hanks performance, and I really would like to see him get some recognition for it because he does such a good job of playing this character. Which also brings me to one more character, and that is Jeff Sykes. I think that's the guy's name. I'm not entirely sure. Who was his co-pilot, played by Aaron Eckhart, who you may know as Two-Face from The Dark Knight. And it's their relationship with each other that's so well, because you really get this camaraderie, this friendship between them, and the way they play off each other is so great. And while Jeff has a good role and a featured role for sure, I wish he was actually in it more. But I do think the movie did paint a good picture, especially the way Sully expresses his friendship towards him, that he couldn't have done it without him. He was never more than a foot away during the whole event. It wasn't just Sully. Jeff was also there right along with them to make sure all these people landed safely. and just such a great movie. I got more emotional and kind of choked up watching scenes than I expected to. I wasn't going into this movie thinking, oh, this is going to be a real tearjerker sort of movie. I expected a few here and there. It actually happened a lot more often, and at certain things I really didn't expect to, and I think that's because of the performances and the way Eastwood directed this movie. And I left this movie just having had a great time. There were so many times where a scene would end, and I would just kind of pull away. Man, I had forgotten I was in a movie theater. I was just in the movie. I was transported into that world, and that's one of those reasons I just enjoyed this movie so much. So I'm going to score this thing. I'm going way high. This may end up being definitely my top 10 movies of the year, so especially thus far. I'm going to give Sully a 90%. The only problems I had with this movie is there's a few times we had flashed at these minor like news stories or characters where I thought what the actors were saying on screen did not match the way they were saying it. They were saying it in a very reserved, kind of chipper, happy manner. And it's like, well, what you were saying was not that at all. So that left a little dramatic tension for me here and there. But otherwise, I loved this movie. It was like just a movie I think I could go back and rewatch multiple times. It deserves to be seen in the theater because of the way this thing is shot, especially when you're on the plane. It is tense, it is gripping, you are on the edge of your seat, and you are on that plane with these passengers. So that's why I give Sully a 90% and just absolutely love this movie. There you guys have it. That's my review of Sully. Make sure you jump in the comments below and let me know what you think. If you've got any questions about the movie. And make sure you're following me on Twitter at NeatMovieNews for all the latest in the world of movies. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll see you back here next time.